Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Waffles RC. Let's get this mud truck finished. I know you guys are all really enjoying the series, but we are on the last legs of this thing. Basically, all that's left is sheet metal and put it all together and test it. So off camera, before I started anything, I changed the C-hubs out because the ones that came on these axles were stripped. I also changed the rear knuckles and C-hubs to regular ones, not the weight ones that were absolute garbage. So Troy will be much happier with those knuckles. I think it's going to help with the longevity of this thing. But let's just get straight into it. First thing I'm going to do is put all the drive shafts in. And there we go, drive shafts. So the reason why I put the drive shafts on is because the next step that we're going to be doing is sheet metal. And I have to have room for the drive shaft that comes from the transmission down to the transfer case. I have to cut a slot for that. So I could have just gotten away with doing just that top one, but if I'm putting one drive shaft in, I'm putting the other three in as well, because it's all got to go together. I did go and get some sheet metal. I was doing that through the entire store and people were looking at me, but you know what? I was laughing. So for adding sheet metal to this thing, it's going to be, for me, relatively easy on the basis of I'm going to trace lines and then cut the sheet metal out, tack it in there, send it. It's really that simple. The hard ones are going to be the fender liners up front. And I think I'm going to do some in the back. Don't entirely remember what my plan was for back here, but you know what? Let me make some progress and I'll show you where we're at. And here is where we're at so far. Got the sides on both and the center, including the pass-through for the drive shaft. Now Troy is going to hate me for that, because to get that drive shaft out, you have to undo it on one side, take it all the way apart, and then take it apart from the transfer case, move it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully that one won't break. So as per usual with my builds, I never included a spot for a battery, and I don't know what size batteries he has. So the guessing game is going to be very strong with this. I'm just going to make a tray, and then he'll have to basically add his own mounting system for his particular size battery. I just have to make it big enough for any size battery. Battery tray. As you can see, big battery, fits in there quite well. And I apologize about all the airplane noises that you guys hear in every single one of these videos. It bugs me too, but I do live next to an airport, so you guys are going to hear airplanes. Just pretend it's the RC car, like driving or something. So now that that's done, I have to make the front fender well liners and something for the front to hold the electronics and to cover the motor. Once again, all this sheet metal is for basically protecting everything when this thing goes through the mud. Keeps everything mostly dry. I did allow for a bit of drainage, and I'm saying that on video so that Troy knows is that it's for drainage, not because I measured incorrectly. You know, just covering myself when this goes back to him. So let me go away. I will make that stuff because, well, sheet metal's kind of boring, and you can only do so long in time lapses, in my opinion, before people just get bored. I know a few of you are all about it, but I'm going to knock that out and we'll be back right, and it's all done. The front piece I did make removable, so you know you can install the motor and stuff. Drive shaft, still an issue, but that's Troy's problem, not mine. And as you can see, I didn't feel like doing fender liners, so I just sectioned off the bed. That'll keep the battery tray dry, or at least clean. Same with all this stuff. The body is cut right there, so that's going to help block stuff as well. Got the front fender liners. Everything should be nice and sealed up on this thing. And if you're wondering why I'm showing you on the ground, if you can tell by my face, the workbench is a bit messy. I wanted a clean surface for you guys to be able to see that. So I'm tired. I'm very done with sheet metal. I hate working with sheet metal. But next step for that is to put it all together and test it. Really. I do have to final weld it, but there's no point in final welding it, putting it together to test it for me to take it all apart for it to go and ship out. So I'll final weld it and that'll be shipped out. But when we come back, we will slap some electronics and a battery in this thing and see how she does. So here you can see that after I had dinner, I decided I'll put all the electronics on. And since Full Send was out of town, that means I get to work on RC cars in the dining room. Also, what that means is, Tom, I'm going to need to borrow the van for a place to sleep. Please and thank you. Another good morning to everybody. As you saw from that time lapse, I got all the electronics on. I did test it and it works. Oh, we gained some weight. So, as you can see, the receiver is hanging down here. And that would be mainly because if I put it up here, then the steering servos don't reach. You know, little things to figure out. But that's for Troy to figure out. Not me. So I did hook it up to my Spectrum DX5, and I had this whole setup with this remote on the red Jeep that I took apart on the last live. I had that rear steer set up, kind of, it was weird, but I had it working. Well, unbeknownst to me, this has four-wheel steer setup already programmed into it. You just have to find it. Good luck. Took me a while. But if we plug this in, need to turn the remote on. As you can hear, it has turned on. So, right now, everything is on four-wheel steer. Rear tires are set up to turn opposite, and I only have them at 40%. I don't know if you can see it. All right, so right there. So we turn all the way that way. You can see the back tires don't turn nearly as far as the front, and I did that on purpose. Now if I hit this button, now you can crab walk it. And then if I hit this button again, now we just have front steer. Go back, and now we're set up. That just goes to show that no matter how long you've had something, especially some of these controllers, they can do more than you thought. It helps to read. I didn't do that, but it helps to read stuff. But this thing now functions. So let me zip tie a few things on, put the battery on. Let's go test her out. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, the four-wheel steer makes me a little jealous because that turns very well. Sway bars were also a very good option on this truck because it's actually handling quite well. You can do a turn pretty quick on it. Let's see. Oh. And I broke something. So in case anyone was wondering, when you put your steering on, make sure you actually put a nut on it. This nut forgot to put a nut on there. So give me 1 minute. We're back and back together. Doesn't lean too much. Now let's try the crab steer. Well, since I have it turned down so much, it doesn't really do much. So now let's see what it does without the rear steer. All right, it definitely needs the rear steer. Yeah. Man, that rear steer helps it so much. Ooh. I would say that runs really, really well. The rear steer is just incredible, honestly. But I don't want to go too far with this thing because, well, it's not mine, so I don't want to break it. That's up to Troy to break it. So far, everything is working exactly how it should. It all comes down to programming and how you program this thing. But it's all working. The other reason why I don't want to keep going is there's no grease, no Loctite. We don't need to damage this. So I guess let's go do our final walkthrough, and this thing will be heading off to Troy's channel. If you want to see what it will finally look like and what it can really do, you're going to have to head over to Troy's channel, which is right here. And there will be a link down in the description. Once again, from the release of this video, you're going to have to give it a few weeks because, well, he's on the opposite side of the country from me, and I have to ship this to him. So it's going to take some time. So let's get it in the garage, do our final walkthrough, and just a once over on it. Remember how I kept bragging about that high clearance chassis? Yeah. All right. Now we can take the body off. Those are mine. This will go with the truck. there. I do have some finishing to do to these front fenders. Just not really in shape correctly for the body. But I did just slap them on yesterday, so not really too mad at myself. I did not use double-sided tape or zip ties while I zip tied the receiver up. Did that on purpose because I don't want to make anything permanent on Troy's truck. There we go. A little bit of duct tape if you ever need to test. Just to keep stuff from moving. But here is our final look over on it. Got the battery tray, the custom receiver, zip tied to the frame. Got that all sealed off. Got the motor up here, ESC is over here. But that is one good looking truck right there. And I'm pretty sure that I now have the perfect recipe for a mud truck, because rear steer, total game changer for this thing. And the main reason for it being a game changer, because I don't think anybody has, I mean, everybody for the most part understands that the mud trucks are big. You can see it next to me. That's a 6-door. So what's the wheelbase on this truck? Is 22 inches. Just the wheelbase. Now the rest of the truck isn't that much longer, honestly, but that rear steer, this thing turns better than some of my crawlers. That's really upsetting, actually. So I finally get to finish off a video where it's basically done and it's still light outside. I'm quite happy about that. Now I do still have to take everything back off of it, so that way I can final weld everything. I got a few gaps that I need to fill still. I mean, it drove, and it drove really nice. Didn't hear, nothing was binding. The steering actually held up pretty good. The rear steer does need a shorter servo horn, but I have a bucket full of servo horns, so I'm not worried about that. But being able to turn the rear steer off, that's kind of cool, honestly. Now, once again, I used my Spectrum remote on this. Normally I use the radio links, and I like those, so I'm gonna play around with those as well to see if they have rear steer setups in them, because I didn't know that the Spectrums did. Like, that's actually really cool. And to be able to select them to counter steer, crab steer, or no rear steer, it's another very good benefit. Like I said earlier, if you want to see this thing in its final form, you'll have to go and subscribe over to Troy's channel. He's going to completely finish this off, paint it, put the body back on with the interior, hook up all of his lights. Like, he's got a lot of work that he wants to do to this thing as well. I just made him the basis, or I just made him the base. So now it's up to him to customize as he sees fit. And Loctite it. Make sure you Loctite it, Troy. Remember this part in this video. Loctite and grease, because that's dry. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. We will move on to our next project. What that is, I have a few projects lined up. I just need to figure out which exact one I have parts for. So we'll move on to that. Like I said, go check out Troy's channel. You can see this. If you'd like to support our channel, please go right here. There's also a link down in the description. Merch sales have been very slow lately, but once again, I completely understand. So just watching these videos, that's what really helps this channel out. So I will push my own merchandise, but I'm not expecting anybody to do it in today's day and age. So thank you all again, and we will see you next week. And you thought I was going to let this thing leave without getting a final weigh-in on it? No. It's not getting away that easy. Zero it out. Move that. And that there, that there. Make sure it's zeroed. Let's slap one of my batteries in it. And can't forget the body. Oh, she's a lightweight. And of course it's super light out, so I can't see the screen. 16 pounds, 2.4 ounces. Oh wait, hold on. A lot of you guys are 24 scale. So for you 24 scale people, it is 7,328 grams. Not gonna lie, I kind of want to keep measuring in grams. It sounds cooler. That might have to happen because it's quite funny to say, yes, it weighs 7,332 grams. See you next week.